All right. We're continuing to work through some technical difficulties that have sabotaged us the last 3 shows. We apologize for that, and we'll do our best. Everybody here is doing their best to make sure it doesn't happen, and hopefully we can work through it. We were in the middle of I thought, an interesting conversation
about DY,
about the Browns and Deshaun Watson. Ken Dorsey is calling the plays. The Browns have not announced it, but it's obvious from what especially Deshaun Watson said over the weekend that Ken Dorsey is calling the plays. Deshaun Watson was also very complimentary, in addition to Ken Dorsey, a complimentary of Kevin Stefanski for having the confidence in himself. A lot of head coaches won't relinquish that control, and now Kevin Stefanski has. And at this point, whether he was hand-forced or not is irrelevant. We move on to the fact that Ken Dorsey's calling plays, and we were talking about the fact that is some concern that they did run the ball a lot with their quarterback. And you were saying, Tyvis,
that it bothers me that called runs I'm not really a fan of.
Right.
But if he's going to be smart about it and getting down, obviously the quarterback's the most protected person. So as long as he slide, there's no problem in that. That's the difference between him and Josh Allen and Cam Newton and him. They can lower their shoulders to get those extra yards and be physical. He can't because he's coming off of that injury. He needs to protect that shoulder. However, I will say if the run game isn't producing, because losing Bill Callahan, we don't know what it's going to look like in this new offense. Yeah. And if you think about Buffalo's run game with Ken Dorsey, it was really non-existent. So if you have to produce some run game, he's going to have to do something because he's going to be the guy that's not accounted for, especially early on in the season. They're not going to account for him to be the runner. So he's going to have to be smart in that standpoint. But if the run game is running and it looks good, he don't need to run the ball.
Yeah. I mean, all that running, you got to think, destroyed Cam Newton's career.
Yeah,
and he's way bigger than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
but I mean,
he also didn't slide.
No, and you think when you think of running quarterbacks now, the first guy you think of was Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson generally does a great job of not taking big hits. You run as much as he does, you're going to take them occasionally, but he, for the most part. Remember when RG3 that rookie season, he was getting smoked all over the field.
Yeah, he was.
And Lamar you don't see that very often. He is really
he's not
good at not taking the big hits.
And he's also, I think he slimmed down again this year. He's also slimming down. So, yeah, he's just smart. You got to get down. Just dive forward or slide backwards. Just protect yourself because that's what a defense wants. I want to I hit you. So now them passes ain't as good anymore. Now my DB's got a chance, or now you thinking about it. He just got to be very smart. He can do it. Deshaun's he's a good runner. I mean, you think about the Baltimore game. A lot of those plays came from him using his legs. So it's there. He just need to be smart.
The Browns went into last season trying to protect Deshaun and not having him run as much. And it was explained to me we don't want Jalen Hurts back there. We don't want him running that much. I wonder if he wants to run, if that's how he's comfortable. If he's pushing to move more and run more, because that's how he's always played, and that's how I agree with you guys. The older he gets and the more hits he takes, it's only going to do more damage, and it's only going to shave off the back end of his career. But I think he hasn't told me. Nobody's told me this. I just think that's how he's comfortable. Is on the move.
I agree. I mean, I think that when you look at some of his most explosive plays and some of the things he does. He's a magician back there. I mean, he makes people miss, and he likes to run around and buy his people time to throw it deep. But at the same point, I'm talking called runs, quarterback boot. I don't know about that. I don't know, because now everybody knows that he's running the ball 1,000%, and I'm about to go try to take this man's head off.
Yeah, there's a big difference between using your athletic ability to get out of the pocket, to move around, to create better passing lanes or better plays, and even play breaks down, I'm going to use my legs to get a few yards and get out of bounds, than as opposed to, as you say, Tyvis, the cold running play where there's a decent chance you're going to take a hit.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. All right, won't be the last Browns conversation, but for now, we'll switch gears to the Guardians. Mike?
Yeah, I just want to say we apologize for the tech issues. I know we said off the top, Bull, but no one's more frustrated and annoyed by this than we are. Trust me, and we're going to work and fix it, do whatever we can. DeJuan, you can see him. That's DeJuan standing up behind us. IT DeJuan working on it. That's not a lie. They shouldn't be smiling because we have tech issues. And that's
no smiles here, Steve, until this is all straightened out. Let's go.
Just know, and I'm being sincere, that sucks.
We appreciate you sticking with us.
We appreciate sticking with us,
We're frustrated by the situation. We're trying to fix it up.
All right, let's talk some Guardians, Bull. over the weekend, Luis Robert Jr., the all-star center fielder for the Chicago White Sox, was kind of put on the trading block. It said Chicago was willing to listen to offers for their young, I'm not sure he's a superstar, but he's definitely a star. He was an all-star in 2023. Won a Silver Slugger at center field. Bleacher Report and a few other baseball entities put out lists of potential landing spots for Luis Robert Jr., and the Guardians were highly ranked on a couple of them. Bull, I'll start with you because I think you don't think there's a possibility this could happen, but is there a possibility Luis Robert Jr. could be on the Guardians trade deadline wish list this year? And if he is, would he make sense, and do they have enough assets to acquire him?
For a variety of reasons, trading for Luis Robert Jr. makes no sense for the Guardians. I shouldn't say makes no sense.
Yeah,
it's just not realistic.
All right, tell me why.
It's not realistic for a variety of reasons.
Isn't they in our
First
division?
of all, there is still something to be said that I don't want to trade. If I'm the White Sox, there's a lot of teams I could trade him to. I don't want to trade him in the division.
I'm going to tell you why I disagree with that when you're done.
Okay, fine. Number two, the guy is very talented. He's under team control at a reasonable rate, which means the White Sox are going to want a boatload.
Yes.
They're going to want even more because it's a division team. There's a kicker that you have to do for that. But he's also extremely injury prone.
Yes.
He's played 100 games once in his career. That's it.
And he had
so
a
I'm going to
great
give up a
season,
ton
too.
of stuff to get a guy who I don't know if he can make it through the season. I know baseball, you never know. But this guy has a long track record, as do a lot of the young White Sox players, for whatever reason, of injury. So, yes, in a perfect world, if I could get him, sure, he's a tremendous talent. He'd be a good fit in the lineup. But what I would have to give up to get him, combined with his injury-prone status, I think it's an extreme long shot, and I can't see any way it happens.
I can't disagree with you on that. The injuries actually don't concern me. Yeah, he is hurt all the time.
Yeah.
I want him healthy in October. They're going to the playoffs. Guardians are going to the playoffs.
Fair, but
so I want him healthy.
I don't know
in
that he
October.
will be.
Well, but you manage him now. And I also wonder, and I don't know the White Sox well enough. Maybe they've already done this. But what's going on with their medical staff? Because they constantly have guys getting
Eloy
hurt.
Jimenez always hurt.
Constant.
Moncada's been hurt.
Hamstrings, soft tissue, a ton of soft tissue injuries. Like, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
But the whole division thing in this instance, I think, is silly. And I agree with you. Teams rarely trade within the division.
Yeah.
I think the last time, off memory, the White Sox and Guardians/Indians made a trade was Roberto Hernandez in, 1997. I can't think of a trade since then. This is why it's dumb to not trade him here because of that. He's under contract. We talked about it on the call. 27, Mike?
Through 27.
All right, he's under contract through 27. Are the White Sox going to do anything within the division between now and 2027? No.
They might.
No, they're horrendous.
They
Probably
They
not.
are horrendous.
They are.
Teams get a little uptight about that.
Fine. But you know, Luis Robert's not going to be in Cleveland beyond 2027, and they're probably going to trade him in 2026.
That's fair.
So what are we doing here?
No.
If the Guardians give you the best package, send him in the division because he's going to be gone in 2 years anyway.
All fair, but in the end,
they might pay him.
In the end,
come on,
it's worth it.
I can't imagine the Guardians will give him the clear best package, and if it's close, then you'd rather trade him.
I just think the whole in this instance. I think it's dumb. Like, if you're in the East and you're traded to the Yankees, okay, fine, I get it. Because they're going to sign the guy, and you're going to have to see him for the next 15 years.
Right.
In this instance, it doesn't apply. He's going to be gone in 2 years anyway, and you're going to suck for the next 2 years. So who cares?
But you got to see him. That's,
Teams are uptight a little bit about that. It shouldn't
They
matter.
are.
Teams get a little weird about that.
I agree with you.
It was even when the White Sox traded Jose Quintana to the Cubs, it was like they were hesitant to do it because they're crosstown rivals,
right?
And the Cubs already get all the hype in the town anyway. So it's a little weird. Listen. Would I love to have Luis Robert in a perfect world or Garrett Crochet? Yeah, but those guys are going to cost.
I need to know
much.
What it costs. What would it take to get him? What do you think?
You'd have to trade the Lauder.
He just went on the IL again, by the way.
Yeah, he did. But the White Sox don't care about that. I mean,
they got time. They're not going nowhere this year, so it doesn't matter.
You would have to trade them probably 3 of your top 6 or 7 prospects, if not more.
Teams like the White Sox and the Angels have terrible farm systems.
Yes.
So they want farm.
And so I actually think that they would want quantity over quality, where you give them your 3rd, 4th, 8th, 10th.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
but the Lauder's
maybe
okay,
fine. But I was saying 3 of your top 10 prospects.
Yes. Where they're trying to restock their entire system,
right,
rather than put all their eggs in one basket. given the hit rate on prospects.
And what is our
You're
farm?
better off diversifying
The
your
Guardians
portfolio.
right now are more middle of the road.
in the farm system?
They're middle of the road. They've lost some status.
They went from like
And that's an interesting point because, I mean, Bybee has hit. That's a hit. I know he's a little bit taking a half a step back probably this year, but he's a hit. Gavin Williams has.
I don't think he'll win the Cy Young.
I didn't say he'd win it. He just has to catch a vote, just one vote. I'm going to make sure I break into the system and
Right
give him
now,
a vote.
Ben Lively would get a vote over
I
him.
know, it's insane.
Yeah, Stephen Kwan's a hit in recent
Quan
years.
is a hit. So they've lost a couple of guys,
Yeah.
but a lot of their guys that were top prospects have kind of regressed a little. When you like Roquio,
down
Arias,
26
George
and a half games.
Yeah, Valera has
it's
gone
over.
down the tubes.
Oh, it's
Espino. Here's the
Espino's
tricky
another
thing right now, okay? You used to, and Zach and I were talking about this in the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian show, because he brought up the Bartolo Colon trade, which happened with the Expos in June. You may remember, and I brought this up, 30 years ago, Thursday is the 30th anniversary of the Indians trading Rick Sutcliffe to the Cubs in June.
Wow.
Remember that trade?
Yeah.
For Joe Carter and Mel Hall.
Yeah.
Cubs got Ron Hassey in that deal also.
Yep.
You used to see a lot of blockbuster baseball trades in June. The reason you don't see it as often now is because there's so many teams in the mix. In 1984, there were 2 teams that made the playoffs in each league.
Right.
So there were plenty of teams that were way out of it and buried by the middle of June. Now, 25 of the 30 teams are still in the mix.
Yeah.
And the teams that are out of it at this point are so bad they don't have that much to trade. The only teams that are like Toronto's gotten hot. Cincinnati, all of a sudden the schedule looks a lot tougher because Cincinnati and Toronto have both gotten hot lately.
They have won 7
and they're playing
games
better.
in a
Cincinnati's won, I think, 12 of the last 15 games. Toronto's won a bunch in a row. So now all of a sudden, well, Toronto's not trading anybody. There's 5 teams that are completely out of it. That's it. Colorado, Miami, the Angels, the A's, and the White Sox. That's it. The Mets are 8 games under 500, but they're, I think, 3 games out of a wild card spot.
Yeah.
Because everybody outside of the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Braves, and surprisingly the Brewers is mediocre in the National League. So it's hard. I mean, when you and so, you know, the White Sox have a couple of guys like Crochet and Robert we're talking about. Oakland's got very little to offer. They got some back-end starters. They might trade their closer, Mason Miller, but it would cost a ton to get him. I mean, what the hell does Colorado have? Who are they trading?
Chris Bryant.
Nobody's taking his contract. He's been a disaster. The Marlins' whole pitching staff is hurt except for Luzardo, but he got smoked in his last start. I'll tell you what, Cal Quantrill's pitched he's been their best starter.
I think he on the mound today for now.
That's not a bad one. Cal Quantrill, they might
You
trade
take him back in Cleveland?
I mean, I think
Yes.
I would too.
Yes, you know what?
I would too.
Honestly, he's pitched better than he's. You know,
Carrasco, I'll take him back
especially
over.
considering he's pitching in Colorado. He's done a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And then who am I forgetting? The Angels. I brought this up to Zach. They got a pitcher, Tyler Anderson, who's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the peripherals are not good.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't strike anybody out. So, like, what are you giving up for him?
Right.
And what else do the Angels have to trade? Now, there's some interesting relief pitchers on all these teams. And the Guardians may, at a point, say, you know, let's just even bolster a strength.
You can always use a
Can you
reliever.
imagine
Always
if you acquired, I brought this up to Zach, can you imagine if the Guardians acquired, now, most of our fans probably don't know much about him, but Mason Miller is a young closer on the A's who throws 102 miles an hour.
Incredible.
They can't touch him.
All right? Now, you'd have to give him a lot to get him, like you did for Andrew Miller. But if you added him to an already good bullpen, forget about it. If you had him in Class A,
You're shortening the game to realistically 6 or 7 innings.
and in the playoffs it's 6.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
That's what I'm talking about.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
playoffs at 6 innings. I mean,
Yeah.
you could get 3 innings between those guys
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the reason the Guardians have done as well as they have, even though their pitching's not been very good, their starting pitching, is because they don't need their starting pitching right now to be great. They just need it to be okay. But once you're playing the best of the best in the playoffs, you're going to need better than that. So whether that's they have to add a starter, but I think doubling down on what's already an excellent bullpen would make a lot of sense too.
And while we're talking pitching and Guardians, it's worth mentioning. I just saw it that Gavin Williams is not listed.
That's right.
As a Columbus starter. You guys talked about it on the show, I guess,
Yeah.
today.
Zach,
I don't know what to make of it at this point. When
Right.
When you're on an injury assignment and all of a sudden you don't show up. Is
Yeah.
that good or bad?
I know.
He
My first
only
reaction.
threw 50 pitches his last start, which was his pitch limit, by the way. So it's not like he's
He's
at
not
least in my
stretched
mind, I
out.
feel like he's not stretched out enough to
They
be ready
could
to
call
make
him
the
up
major.
with that and just have him throw 70
innings.
pitches or
3
65
innings.
pitches,
Yeah.
whatever. Zach, my first reaction was, uh-oh, he had a setback.
Right.
Zach was like, well, maybe they're going to call him up. But the Guardians have so many days off. They're in a stretch with a lot of days off that they don't need a fourth starter for like 2 weeks. I mean, a fifth starter for 2 weeks now. Ben Lively, we don't know what his status is right now.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe they are going to bring him back. But
Did I see he rejoined them in Cincinnati? That's actually a good sign.
Yes, that was a good sign.
That's a really good sign because Jay and I yesterday were like, "Oh man,
Right.
here we go
Yeah,
again."
yeah.
And I even said like, at no point do you ever go visit the doctor and they're like, "Yeah, you're good. Like, we'll see you Tuesday."
Right, right.
And that may have been just
yeah,
I wanted to say that probably.
Let me ask you this, Bull.
You just had a scare.
And then
You're
we'll move on
good.
because we got a little bit of breaking news at a Browns camp I want to get to in a sec.
Yeah.
But if it's Luis Robert, if it's Bo Bichette, and/or it's a starter reliever, those are your 4 options. Rank those in terms of what you think the Guardians should most prioritize.
Say again. I'm
at the trade
sorry.
deadline.
I have ADD.
Bo Bichette,
Luis Robert
Luis
Jr., who we're
Robert.
talking about,
Yep.
Bo Bichette, who we've spoken about in the past, a middle of the line
I mean,
starter.
you got
or a
you have to
bullpen
get
guy?
specifics at pitcher. Let's say Jesus Luzardo and Mason Miller. I mean,
Sure.
what-
For the sake of this, those are the 4 guys.
Yeah,
How would you
yeah,
rank?
yeah.
Where does Luis Robert Jr. fall in the pecking order for you?
I would actually take Bichette 1. I know he's not having a great year. I would take Bichette 1.
I think
and Mason Miller 2.
even though Luzardo had a terrible start last time, I would actually take Luzardo 1, then Bichette, then Robert would be last for me.
Yeah, I agree. Because, I mean, I think they need an outfielder, but I don't think it's their most pressing need.
No, they need a shortstop more than an outfielder.
Yes.
I think they need a pitcher. They need to upgrade their pitching more than anything else. But right now, I don't think Bichette's going
Mike
to
said
get
a
traded.
mid-tier pitcher, though, and I think Luzardo's better than a mid-tier
Well, he
pitcher.
is. Yeah, I mean, if it's a mid-tier pitcher, then I'm with you.
Yeah.
Then I'm going Bichette. But I don't think Bichette. Right now, it doesn't look like Bichette's going to get traded.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. What do we got? Breaking news?
All right, we do get a little bit of breaking news. Another quick reminder, though, that FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And in summertime, it means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more. And you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the ballpark tonight. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Today's the opening day, the first day of mandatory minicamp. Keyword, mandatory.
you
This
get-
is no
so you
longer
get
voluntary.
fined.
You get fined if you skip, and Amari Cooper is not present for the Cleveland Browns.
Are you surprised? I'm not.
I'm not shocked one bit either.
We said
He in the last year of his contract, they ain't said nothing to the guy.
when
And they went and got the dude to try to replace the guy.
Oh, no. The Browns have now become a poverty franchise.
No, that's not a
Don't you
poverty
dare-
franchise.
I'll come out there and fight you right now.
It's a joke. I'm making
Mike's
fun
on
of Mike.
tilt. Mike's on tilt today.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah.
No, I mean it's like, listen. First of all, like, y'all literally doing this right in front of his face like that. Like, y'all ain't, like, he ain't been that guy for the past few years around here, and you go get his replacement.
You
and
done
then,
moved in your girlfriend
yeah,
before you divorced your wife.
moved in the guy, paid the guy right in front of me. like I ain't a priority. Like, I ain't been doing my thing. Y'all ain't came to me and asked me about cat, dog, nothing.
Yeah.
And now, I'm not showing up to no mandatory minimum until y'all talk some chickens.
You know, sometimes we talk about the Browns and we repeat the same conversation essentially like 32 times. We just look at it at different angles. This is a
my
topic,
specialty.
Mike.
I don't think
gotta
we
say,
talked about.
We have missed this topic, and I didn't even think about it until you said that he was.
Well, we talked about when they signed Judy.
Yeah,
We've talked about
I
this
said
many
it
times.
today.
Maybe I wasn't here that day.
I said it
We
the day
had
they
that.
I
signed
mean, it's
Judy.
kind of a slap in the face that they
100%.
not that they traded for Judy, but that they extended Judy,
Right in front, and then
who's done nothing in the NFL.
ain't came to him and said nothing about next year. It's like I told you, I set it up right there in that camera. I said we gonna bring in a dude who idolizes you. He plays very similar to you. We want you to groom him up for 1 year, and then we'll see what happens.
You've been a great player.
Yeah.
He's been a huge disappointment, but we're going to pay him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's 30, Bull, which I know you've had the discussion of what do you do with 30-year-old
30
receivers.
still good. He got 2 years left
That's
in him.
we can look at it from that perspective, which is reasonable. But if I'm Amari Cooper, I'm
years.
saying I have kicked ass for this team for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm arguably the best wide receiver in the history of the franchise, even though I've only played here for 2 freaking years.
Back-to-back 1,000-yard
This
seasons.
guy What the hell has he done? He hasn't done anything. He's a slappy.
And I don't even think Amari Cooper is mad at the fact that
No.
Jerry Jeudy, because he probably look at him like, that's my little brother. I'm glad he happy, but y'all can still take care of me. It's not like I'm asking for $50 million. Like I'm not.
What you just said is really interesting. That you said he's got 2 good years left.
2.
You think he's going to sign for 1 more year?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
what's he asking for? 3? 4?
I don't know what he asking for,
you know what I'm saying.
but
Like,
yeah,
you're right.
He got about 2 years.
got
32 is about when the drop.
Okay.
You'll see it at the end of 31, 32. It kind of goes down.
Okay, so if he's got 2 good years left and you got him under contract for 1, he ain't asking for 1 plus 1. He's asking for this 1 plus 3 or 4 more.
And we've
so
seen,
I don't blame the Browns. I don't blame the Browns in this instance. But of course you're pissed.
But you don't blame Amari for being pissed.
No,
of course not.
It's part of the business.
Yeah.
It's
And
just you know who another person is going to be? If Nick Chubb come out there and he don't look like Nick Chubb, it's going to be 2 Cleveland Browns at the end of this season that we love dearly that will not be a part of the Cleveland Browns next year.
And
that's
we've
just
seen,
what it
Tyvis
is.
and Jason, to your point, the recent run of wide receiver contracts. And
Oh,
it
yeah,
started
he
with
ain't-
Jeudy, and now it's ended with Justin Jefferson getting $130 million guaranteed,
And
being the
if it-
highest paid. I don't know where Amari Cooper falls in that scale, but he ain't
He
taking
don't
a
fall anywhere in
discount.
that scale.
The Browns are desperately praying to God that Jerry Jeudy has a good season, because if Jerry Jeudy has a good season and Deshaun Watson looks good, that first round pick next year will be spent on a wide receiver in the first round,
And
because
they will move on
They
from
will
Cooper.
move on from Elijah and Cooper.
Yep.
And it is what it is.
In the end, it doesn't, like, we all understand why Amari Cooper's pissed. I'd be pissed if I were him too. But he's not holding out during the season.
No,
so
he'll be there. He'll be there.
OTAs, who cares?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Right.
And if I'm the Browns, I wouldn't fine him. Like, you can
100%
fine him.
no.
Don't fine
No,
him.
He's
let
sending a
him
message.
keep his money. Let him keep all his
Sending
money.
a message that he's unhappy,
Yep.
which we get. I'm sure the
Is
Browns.
this the last year? This the last contracted year, right?
Correct.
For
He is
Cooper.
a unrestricted free agent after this season.
Yeah, it might be done. Unless he go out there and just have an unbelievable season. If he go out there and have an
Right,
unbelievable
but if you're
season,
him, then don't you wait to get the free agents?
Yes.
Somebody else,
Yes,
you know,
because the
everybody
Browns-
hit on you.
I would maybe I'm in the minority on this
Yeah.
because I know the NFL is in the moment and you win for right now every year. I would rather miss on 1 good year of Amari than overextend on him and be saddled with 2 or 3 bad
the
years.
rule in the
that
league
makes sense.
is you trade a guy a year too early rather than a year too late.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Amari had the injury problems at the end of last season. He could, his career, he's around the age where a lot of wide receivers start to go the wrong direction. And that could happen this year.
I mean,
hopefully he's got at least 1 more good year left. We'll see.
The good thing about him is he's got a unique skill set. I mean, route running is something that you can play for a longer period
That's
of time.
fair.
If it's not just natural instincts where you could jump over guys and make great catches.
Outrun 'em.
Right.
Yeah. If you're really creating separation with routes, you could play maybe 2 extra years with that.
Sure.
And that's where he's at in his career. And he's been successful, and with the Browns, he's done great. I need to see what it looks like this year now that all these other pieces is in there. But if Jerry Jeudy has a great year, I think it's
Jerry
over.
Jeudy does not have a great year.
Then they better. That I don't know what. They still gonna take that first round pick and get a wide receiver.
You're going to get a highly, highly motivated Amari Cooper.
Oh, yeah. Not that he ever plays
and
unmotivated,
Elijah Moore. And Elijah
Yeah, because they got to
Both of
get.
those
They
guys.
have to get paid off
Yeah,
of this season.
Now,
Like Elijah Moore has not received a big contract, so he has no choice but to go out there and play hard.
the difference is Amari Cooper's a good player and Elijah Moore's not.
Yeah, I mean, if the Browns don't pay Amari Cooper, it's not like he won't have a job next
No.
year. Somebody
Oh,
will
no,
pick
of
him up
course. Yeah,
easily, and he'll be playing next year for sure.
Yeah. All right, Mike, we go back to baseball.
We'll go back. Yeah, I just wanted to break in with that because
Break in.
we
Oh
had
yeah,
Bring right in.
And CMC is the cover athlete for Madden.
he
if
is.
anybody cares.
He is. First
By the
running
way,
back since Peyton Hillis.
Speaking of CMC,
You're hilarious for saying this too.
No, he is. He's the
What?
first running back on the Madden.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say the first
Oh,
Caucasian
CMC
running
is
back.
officially on the cover?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, by the way, somebody, our guy Eddie forwarded this to me. I don't know if you guys have seen this. We don't have to put it up.
Tag
but-
board's not working, so you have to just tell us. The whole system's this is a catastrophe back here.
So Eddie, and I've seen this before. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Eddie showed me something that he found on Facebook where somebody supposedly posted to like a chat group that he's in a fantasy league. This was a year or two ago. He's in a fantasy league, and somebody offered him a trade of Tony Pollard for Christian McCaffrey, which obviously is a terrible trade offer. Mm-hmm. But the guy that had Christian McCaffrey,
Oh, yes.
this other guy said if he traded him Christian McCaffrey,
He let him bang.
he
his
let him
wife.
sleep with his wife one time.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
That
right?
is
First of
And
all,
so the
serious
question,
fantasy.
do you do it?
I wonder if the guy did it. That's what I want to know.
I'll put out an APB
Yeah.
and see if I can find it.
You'd have to see what his wife looks like.
Yeah, right. Well, the guy says in the post that he has fantasized about the other guy's wife because he described her body.
There's
This
no.
is insane.
First of all,
It's probably made up. It probably
First
didn't
of all,
actually happen. But
I'm gonna let you know something. I would never.
Of course you would.
This would never happen.
I know that.
Wait, does the wife get a vote in this?
Yeah, right.
That's what I want to know. Maybe like if she is all for it, then,
Yeah.
Hey,
then now
man,
that
it's
race.
Christian McCaffrey.
That's
Yeah, come on.
another
We got a
flag
chance
in
to
the
win a
whole
couple
thing.
$100 here. I mean, what kind of a loser
This is
would
so-
do that and let his wife sleep with somebody else?
These are the people
You'd be
that
amazed
these
what
the
you find
people
on the
that
internet,
Steve
Paul.
hang out with.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, that's right. The pineapples. Go ahead, Mike.
So we're going to bring Jim Rosenhaus on in a few minutes here. Before that, we got to talk a little bit about Josh Naylor, who's been in a slump since we had the conversation on this show if he had surpassed Jose Ramirez as the best hitter on the Guardians over the last 30 days, guys. So the last month, and it even goes back further, but the splits on Pro Baseball Reference go 30 days, 60 days, yada, yada. Over the last 30 days, Josh Naylor has not been a very good offensive player for the Guardians. He's hitting 135. He does have 5 homers and 17 ribbies, which is not terrible, but his OPS
I mean,
is
17
sub
ribbies is
550.
actually better than not terrible. That's actually very
Yeah,
good.
you're right. That's pretty good. But
Yeah.
the batting average, the OPS, boy, you talk about what an average OPS is. That is
Yeah.
far below, and for a guy who's hitting
Yeah, he's
fourth
been-
in your lineup, outside of the few and far between power surges,
Yeah.
he just hasn't been good enough of late. Is it a revert to reality for him? Is it just a slump? How do you guys look at Josh Naylor's struggles of the last couple weeks?
I just think it's a really bad slump. However, I think he's about to bust out of it because I saw that in the last week, he is top 5 in the league in exit velocity, which means he's hitting the ball hard.
Yep.
He
And when
just had
you're
a
doing
homer
that,
2 games ago. I
it
think.
means you're coming out of it.
Yeah.
I think, listen, he took some bad at-bats. When we were at the game the other day, he had some terrible at-bats last Thursday.
Oh yeah, y'all jinxed it. How
and he
did
was
y'all?
bad in the field. He just had a terrible day.
How did you feel when you seen that ball go out? When Jose.
I was cursing you. I'm now
yeah.
rooting against Guardians. home
I'm not
runs
rooting
because of
against you. Jason is.
Because of you.
I don't know why Jason's so worked
You
up
have now
about it.
sabotaged my joy of Guardians home runs.
I'm fine.
I got to
with you
come in
being
here and
right
listen about
that,
it
Cyrus.
twice a week.
I haven't even.
Jose smoked that ball.
I haven't even asked for an update yet.
Yeah.
I could only imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
top 10 probably, and then a great weekend, or Saturday, Sunday at least.
Yeah, I think he's in a slump as well. But you're right. He just ripped one against Miami the day Jose did it, and I think he came right up and hit one out the park. So I think he's at the tail end of his slump. But it's bad because isn't this a contract year for him?
No.
It's not.
He's got one.
He's arbitration. He's
yeah,
in
yeah.
arbitration. He's got this year. And
Oh,
next year.
okay. Well, he got time to make
It's
the point. But I think
interesting.
he's going to finish strong. I have no doubt he's going to finish strong.
A month ago, we thought he was a lock for the All-Star game, and now I don't know that he is. I mean, I think the only locks on the Guardians, and we'll talk more All-Star next week, are Jose and Clase.
It need to be David Fry for any position.
He's gonna have a hard time.
I
think
know.
he's gonna have a hard time.
Third catcher. Who's the third catcher? Connor Wong?
I mean,
Logan Ohape?
Rushman, Perez.
Yeah, who's the third?
Do they have to take a third?
They don't, but they usually do.
Maybe he gets it.
I don't know if the Angels have another candidate
David
with
Fry.
Logan Ohape. They got to have one player.
Right.
Connor Wong's had a real good season for Boston, but David
has.
Fry's right there. I mean, David Fry probably, if he now he needs more at bats to like qualify for the leaderboard. But if he can get there in the next few weeks, I think he's got a good shot. But
He about to rip. Well, I don't know the line.
but
He
here's the
ripping
thing
one
about
tonight.
Here's the thing about Naylor that like. What is his role in this offense? What do you need him
Drive
to
and
do?
runs.
Drive
Home
and
runs,
runs.
yeah.
He's on pace, even through his slump. He's on pace for, if you stretch his numbers over a full season, he's on pace for 100 RBIs.
Listen, absolutely.
So even though like the average is down and the OPS is dreadful,
Yeah.
he's still doing what you need him to do, what you expect him to do, and that's drive and run. So
I mean,
I'm not at all worried about Josh
I mean,
Naylor.
47 ribbies.
17 RBIs in a 30-game stretch is good.
That's on pace for 100.
Yeah, right.
He's driving in 100 in a
which
full
is
season.
amazing, as bad as he's been. Like, yeah, I mean, we can't have him with an OPS of 500.
Right.
Now, eventually the RBIs will go away if he keeps hitting that
but
way.
I mean, this is baseball. Like, this is what you do all
He's
season.
just in a really bad slump.
I know
with a
somebody
couple of
that
really
didn't
good
do
at-bats in the
that.
mix.
Who's that?
Barry Bonds.
Well, he had some help.
Allegedly.
No, it's way beyond the legend.
When the Baseball Hall of Fame has a plaque,
It's allegedly.
it's no longer allegedly.
Was they in the room when he did it?
I don't know.
See?
Did you see him when he was on the Pirates, and did you see him when he was on the Giants?
Yeah.
His head looked like a Martian.
Yeah.
I thought he just lift weights. I thought he really just
With
did
his
it.
head?
Yeah, I mean, anyway.
Barry ain't take no steroids.
I think Naylor's going to be fine. Right now, you got Naylor, Fry, Quan, and even Ben Lively, who you can make an argument for the All-Star game.
Yeah. Quan's going to have a hard time, I think, because he missed a month.
Yeah.
But, I mean, his average is insane.
He's not.
It keeps going up.
I think he's only 20 plate appearances away from being qualified. So he'll get there in the
he'll
next
get
couple
there.
of weeks,
Yeah.
especially leading off.
Yeah.
He'll have game because you only have to average 3.1 plate appearances.
Yeah.
And he'll average over 4 for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So he'll catch that in the next couple of weeks.
We're going to do a whole topic tomorrow on All-Star vote. Who has a case, who doesn't. We're going to make the case for a few guys who may be on the bubble. So that's coming tomorrow. Right now, though, we are thrilled to welcome in our next guest, Jim Rosenhaus. If you want more Guardians talk, make sure you go check out the Ultimate Guardian Show with Bull and Zach this morning. If you want more Guardians talk later tonight, you got to turn on Tom Hamilton and Jim Rosenhaus as the call for the Guardians Reds tonight. Jim, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Rosie, how you doing?
Did you just call Barry Bonds a Martian?
I said his head looked like a Martian.
Oh, yeah. That is true.
Jim, tell him that Barry
good.
Bonds didn't take no steroids.
What? Excuse me?
Tell them that Barry Bonds was not on steroids.
Yes,
I'm
lie to
sorry,
us,
I
Jim.
can't hear you.
He
This
can't.
must not be working properly.
We've broken up. We've broken
The
up.
stream froze again on you, Ty.
Hey, Jim, we were just talking about Josh Naylor and the fact that even though he's been in this terrible slump, he still has 17 ribbies in his last 30 games, which is hard to believe because his batting average has been so poor during that time. But I don't know if you heard it, but we were talking about his exit velocity the last week has been really good. I think he's due to break out of it here any day now. You confident in that?
Absolutely. And that's the key for him. And I think for anybody who puts together good seasons RBI-wise, they'll go through some stretches where maybe the base hits are few and far between, but somehow you look up and there's RBIs there because when there's someone in scoring position or getting him in, whether it's a sac fly or the other day, just a couple of flares to the opposite field for him, drove in runs. So I don't think anybody's really concerned. And the beauty of it is once he turns it around and starts to get hot again, he'll be able to carry the team for a little bit.
No doubt.
Jim, when you look at this team, this Guardians team last year was one of the worst hitting teams as far as home runs go. And this year,
with the home runs.
excuse me, this is my question. Thank you very much. Now they sit in the top half of the league. What do you think has gone into helping them become this power hitting baseball club?
Can I just say, your shirt exemplifies what just happened there. How firm is their friendship there?
Good question.
All right, now,
They
Jim,
questioned you right out of the chute. That's not right.
You got to know the backstory here. Tyvus knows nothing about baseball.
Whoa! Let's stop that.
And we did our preseason bold predictions, and Bull and I were way off. He said Rocchio was going to be an all-star. At least mine wasn't that bad.
Mine was
I
terrible.
said Tanner Bybee was going to catch Cy Young votes, which there's still a chance. And this idiot said that the Guardians are going to finish top half in home runs, and we laughed at him.
Yeah.
And by God, they're going to finish top half, and we have to hear about this.
They might finish top third.
Every Tuesday and Thursday, I come
just
down and sit
saying.
in this chair, and I have to listen to this man remind me of this.
It does not bother
to
me.
the point where I now root against Cleveland home runs because I know I'm going to have to hear from him. Hey, there goes another home run. So of course, his first question he gets to ask you is going to be about the freaking home runs.
I'm just asking a question. I just want to know, what do you think, Jim, has led to this? Outside of, proving me right, what do you think it is?
Well, outside of that, and thank you for having faith in the team to hit home runs this year.
Yes.
When you look at, they changed their approach a little bit for certain hitters, not everybody, but certain hitters, like a Stephen Kwan, who hit one the other day. Tyler Freeman's another good example. David Fry, to some extent, too. They were so contact-oriented the last couple of years, it almost got to the point where they didn't want to strike out, so it was okay. They just wanted to put the ball in play, and you saw a lot of weak contact. And so the hitting group, led by hitting coach Chris Valleca, their focus this offseason was to ingrain it in the hitters. Take your shot when you have a chance. If you see a pitch you can drive, take it. And if you end up striking out, it's okay. If you end up being down in the count 0-1, it's okay. I thought the best line was, it's better to be 0-1 in the count than 0-for-1 in the game, because you just took a swing to put the ball in play and it resulted in a ground out. So It's not easy to do that, but I think we've seen the results of that to some extent. And the other thing is, you have Ramirez and Naylor having really good seasons, and that's where the bulk of your home runs are coming from. But the rest of the lineup, they're rounding it out okay. I think Fry's hit more home runs than maybe people thought he would. Same with Freeman and some others. But I think there's a change in approach where it's okay to let it rip. There's certain times where you got to put it in play, and you're careful and maybe cut down on your swing. But they're taking more chances early in the count to try. You never hear that, if you try and hit home runs, you're going to get in trouble. Well, they are trying to at least drive the ball harder, and if it goes out, it goes out.
Jim, David Fry, discuss.
Did you guys, I jumped in late, but did you have him going to the All-Star game?
I think, listen, obviously we got some time here, but for me right now, maybe I'm a little biased, I would have him as the third catcher if I have to pick a position, just ahead of Wong and Ohapi. Obviously, we know Rushman and Salvador Perez are locks at catcher.
Ryan Jeffers was scorching hot. He's fallen off the cliff.
Yeah, he's gone. I mean, listen, let's face it. From an offensive standpoint, David Fry, as great as Jose's been for the last 6 weeks, as great as Naylor was in the beginning of the season, Naylor is slumping now. Ramirez was okay in the beginning of the year. Fry's been good the entire season. He's the only guy
MVP.
you could say has been good the entire season. No way did I see this coming. And so, yes, to answer your question, as of today, I would have David Fry as the third catcher in the American League.
Back to my original question. David Fry,
discuss.
Where did this come from? How is this possible?
Well, let's start at the back end, at the All-Star part. I think the challenge might be for him, and Bull, you might have framed it in a way that gets him there, because he plays so many different positions. Will that hurt him because they're not sure where to put him? But maybe the backup keeper is the way to go. Anyway, where did it come from? There were good things happening a year ago for him in limited playing time. When he was in there, he did produce, and he was doing it in a really difficult role where he wasn't playing a whole lot. He would go some stretches without playing, and that's never easy for anybody to put up numbers. Just the way it worked out this year at the end of spring training, the way the roster was set up, it allowed for some more opportunities for him. He did the work in the wintertime, felt really confident heading into the wintertime that he had done enough good things in the major leagues a year ago that he could build on that. And he had to impress a new manager, and he did. And he has said continuously that Stephen Vogt has given me the opportunity to play a lot more than maybe I would have at the start of the season because of that fresh slate, so to speak, and all that kind of stuff. And maybe it would have been the same anyway, regardless of who the manager was. But he got that opportunity, and now they find a way to get him in there every day, no matter what the position. They'll find a spot for him to get that bat in the lineup, and that's helped.
Jim, so not only do the Guardians have this shockingly excellent hitter in David Fry, Ben Lively is, 32, 31, 32. He has never really, outside of last year, had not had much extended time in the big leagues. He didn't pitch particularly well for Cincinnati last year. When he had pitched in the past, the numbers were pretty ugly. This guy has given them a quality start, I think, every time, or maybe every time but one, I can't remember. He's been phenomenal. And I look at him, and I don't see amazing stuff. So how is he doing it?
Ben Lively, discuss.
Ben Lively, discuss.
All right, are we allowed to swear on this show?
Yes.
So I asked Carl Willis that question, and Ben kind of said the same thing. He got to a point in his career where, in terms of pitch selection, and you mentioned the stuff's not overpowering.
Yeah.
91, 92 on his fastball. But the fastball plays because he's got a little deception there, and he's not afraid to pitch inside. And Carl said he's got a I don't give a beep attitude when he goes out there. He doesn't care what the hitters think. He doesn't care what people think about the radar gun. He's just going to let it rip and see what happens. And
love it.
It served him well. And he said, look, I got to pitch inside. I know, people think if you don't throw real hard, you shouldn't pitch inside. He does it, and he goes, if I hit somebody, who cares? I'll deal with that later. And so he's got kind of an attitude out there where he's just going to let it rip and see what happens and have the confidence to throw strikes. And so he's doing a lot more of that, getting ahead of the hitters, and it's working for him.
Jim, when you look at this starting pitching rotation, do you think it's playoff caliber where it is with the guys that they have, or do you think as the trade deadline approaches that they should look into maybe getting another starting pitcher?
Absolutely. They need to do that. And point being, it was thin going into the season. Remember last year when they had injuries, they brought up Gavin Williams, Logan Allen, and Tanner Bybee. They don't have that type of prospect at the upper levels of the minor league system this year, at least not right now. Now, it looks like they're going to get Williams back in maybe a couple of more weeks, and that will help tremendously. But it is thin, and there's a long way to go. How does Carlos Carrasco hold up between now and the end of the season? Same with Justin McKenzie, and Ben Lively was a little bit sore after his last start. So it is really thin, and yes, I'm sure they're trying. There's probably 29 other shows in major league cities talking about the same thing. We need starting pitching. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do, what they can do between now and the trade deadline to really bolster that starting rotation, because you keep your fingers crossed that everyone's going to stay healthy and be effective. But I think past history for every team in baseball is you're going to need more as you go through.
Jim, you mentioned Gavin Williams there. Jason was noting a little bit ago, and we talked about this on the Guardian show, Zach and I earlier, that Gavin Williams was not listed with Columbus' starting pitchers for this week. So my first reaction was, oh no, did he have a setback? And Zach said, well, maybe they're going to call him up this week, but they don't need a fifth starter really right now. So do you know anything about why Gavin's not listed under the Columbus starters this week?
Full disclosure, I don't.
Okay,
no, I think he just pitched Sunday, so I mean his next possible start would be Friday, and they do have that. Everybody has an off day on Mondays in the minor league, so they might push him back. Everything he came out of it fine, so maybe they're just waiting to slot him in to make sure it's the ideal spot for him. So that's the best I got.
And what about Ben Lively? I know he had gone back to get checked out. He's back with the team. It seems like everything's okay as far as you know.
I think so. Well, that may be one of those deals where his normal bullpen day would have been yesterday. With the off day, there's 2 off days this week. They'll probably push that back.
Yeah. They
may not really know till he throws his pen, but I don't think he'd be back with the club if it was something serious. So with the 2 off days this week, they could skip a starter if they need to. We'll see what they do, or just give everybody an extra day and push everyone back a day.
Yeah. Jim, there was 2 names that's linked to Cleveland in a possible trade that we've been discussing. Luis Roberts Jr. or Bo Bichette. If you had to pick one to add to the Guardians to help, which one would you pick?
Whew, man. if you're looking at both at their best and healthiest, based on need, you might say shortstop, but man, Luis Robert, when he's going at his best, he is really, really good. Gold Glove Award winner. Hit a home run last night on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. It looked like it was coming in on his hands, and bam, it was out in Seattle. The problem is, you look at Luis Robert, 1 year since he broke in 2020 has he played more than 100 games. Mm-hmm. And that's a big-time concern. You got to be available. I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, Robert, for pure athletic skill and what he's done when he's healthy, would be really, really intriguing.
Yeah. Jim, obviously we've talked a lot about pitcher trades as well. We mentioned Tyler Anderson today. Jesus Luzardo's name has come up. But I was mentioning just before that Thursday is the 30th anniversary of Rick Sutcliffe getting traded from the Indians to the Cubs in that blockbuster Joe Carter-Mel Hall deal. And we used to see a lot of blockbuster trades in June, but because there's so few teams that are out of it with all the extra wild cards, now there's really only 5 teams out of it, as opposed to those days where 2 teams made the playoffs in each league. You don't really see those blockbusters in June anymore. They all happen like the week before the deadline, it seems. You think that will continue?
and I think so, because you're right, nobody's really out of it. Shoot, we're here in Cincinnati, and 10 days ago, I think people were saying, oh, man, what's going on with the Reds? They're falling out of it, and now they've hit a hot stretch, and they're in second place in the division, and I think a game or 2 out of the wild cards. So it changes so fast with the extra wild cards. Nobody wants to give up on a season, so you're patient and you wait, which is hard. I think for a lot of teams, they'd like to strike early if they could, but again, available pitching and everybody wants it, and it's not matching up yet. I don't know how much better the situation will get when we get to mid-July. So it'll be really, really interesting, not only to see who's available, but then what teams are willing to part with to get some starting pitching that could change the complexion of the pennant race in the postseason.
Jim, one quick one from me, and then Mike's going to give you one to wrap it up. The White Sox are, 17-50? Is that their record?
Correct. 26.5 back.
I think the worst record of all time, I believe, was the 62 Mets, who finished 40-120. I think they didn't play 2 games for whatever reason. Do you think the White Sox have a chance to be worse than that team?
I do. And I say that even though they beat the Indians 3 out of 4 the last time they played them. It's just been a debacle of a season. And you figure, and I say that I think they could, because I think they'll unload any players of value. For instance, if they trade a Luis Robert, that is a major hole in their lineup, and a big reason why he's been hurt so much this season. That's a big reason why they've struggled like they have, because they haven't had him available. And if they trade him, obviously that happens again. And anybody of substance, I keep hearing Garrett Crochet's name come up, which is a really dynamic young starting pitcher. So there's every 5th day where they have a chance that they might not. And I know sometimes you bring up younger players and it can make a difference, but the way they're playing, it sure seems like they have a real chance at maybe breaking the major league record.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mikey.
Jim, what's it like getting a chance to witness Emmanuel Clase's greatness in person every time he comes out in the field? He's been incredible all season. He's electric as a pitcher, and you guys have obviously one of the best views in the house. So seeing him on a night-to-night basis, what makes Emmanuel Clase so special in that closer role for the Guardians?
You know what? And I don't know if fans feel the same way or you guys do, but it's almost to the point where he comes in, you don't worry about the 9th anymore. No. And that's unusual in the major leagues. Usually there's some sort of drama. There's not even been dramatic innings this year. He gave up a home run the other day, and you're like, what? Wait a minute, what happened? Now, he had a little room to work with, but it's been just incredible. And, last year he had a good year by all accounts in that he led all of Major League Baseball in saves, but he wasn't happy because he also led the league in blown saves and didn't feel it was up to his standards. And he did some things this offseason to be better. And man, has he been better. And it's been remarkable because, again, there's so many closers throughout baseball history that had good numbers save-wise, but every ninth inning was a tightrope. And it's not that way with Clase. He's not only saving games, but he has made them in the ninth inning where you don't worry about it. And that's probably the highest compliment you can pay to any closer in baseball. And he's that closer this year.
No doubt. And there's really probably only 3 or 4 guys like that in the big leagues, if that many right now. Jim, great stuff as always, man.
Yes,
good to
thank
see you.
you,
Thanks,
Jim.
buddy. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Jim Rosenhaus does an awesome job. Great guy. And great insight on the Guardians there. And it is interesting to me that he did say, hey, they need to trade for a pitcher because,
Yeah, I agree.
you know, like he would know.
Yeah.
And if he thought that there was no chance the Guardians were going to trade for a pitcher, I don't think he would have said that.
So they're going to be aggressive this trade deadline.
And hearing him say they need a pitcher makes me feel like they're going to be aggressive.
This, again, every year is different. Some years it's time to go for it. Other years
Yeah.
there's not. This is a go for it year. This really feels like a go for it year.
So when
100%.
they make this trade for whoever the starting pitcher is, how long will they have him on the
That's
roster?
who they get.
It depends who they get. Ideally, I think they would like 2 years of control the rest of this year and 1 more at least.
Is that dude from the Blue Jays that you want?
I think the Blue Jays at this point, to me, I'm taking them off
Because
the
they
trade.
still in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
that could change. We got a
It
long
could.
way. to the
as of
deadline.
right now, the top target to me, a pitcher, is Luzardo from the Marlins. And he's got at least 2 years left, I think. Go ahead, Mike.
Speaking of trades, we're going to get into our next topic involving some Cavs trades. A quick reminder, if the Cavs do make a coaching hire at any point this week, we will hop on live, no matter what time it is, as soon as we can afterwards on the Ultimate Cavs Show to break down who that is. And we'll talk Cavs coaches after this next segment coming up. But if it is a coaching hire for the Cavaliers, make sure you guys tap into our YouTube page. Doesn't matter if it's 3 in the afternoon, during the show, or 7 o'clock at night. We will hop on and get you guys some instant reaction to that. All right, we talked about Guardians trades. Let's talk a little Cavs trades. I was asked to come up with some hypothetical Darius Garland trades for the offseason. And when I get asked to do something, I do it. So we made 8 of these. 8 hypothetical Darius Garland trades this offseason. We'll do some Jared Allen trades. We'll do some Evan Mobley. We'll do some Donovan Mitchell. We'll do some trades for all these guys in the coming weeks. But we're going to start today with Darius Garland. And here's how it's going to work, Bull. I'm going to give you guys the hypothetical trade. I'll let you guys discuss it. And then I talked to 2 NBA coaches and a Cavs fan who's not involved with UCSS to see what they thought about it. So I'll tell you what some league guys say about the trade after you guys discuss.
Okay.
So I'll give you the trade. You tell me what you think. I'll give you my reasoning if you guys have questions. And then you can tell me if you think the Cavs would say yes or no, if the other team would say yes or no. And then I'll show you what the league sources say. So you ready for the first hypothetical Darius Garland trade?
Let's see it.
San Antonio's a team that has been connected to Darius Garland, but they say Wemby and Devin Vassell are off limits. So taking them out of the equation, for Darius Garland, would the Cavs consider Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, and the number 4 pick in this 2024 NBA draft for Darius Garland?
The 4th pick, Jeremy Sohan and Keldon.
Does the money match on that?
It does. The money all matches on this stuff.
Yeah.
This has all been run through multiple trade simulators. The money matches on all of these.
Tell me a little more about Keldon Johnson and Jeremy Sohan.
Keldon Johnson averaged about 18 points a game. He's a scoring guard, a little undersized, more of a 2 than a traditional 1, but he's on a relatively good contract. He makes a little more than he probably should, but it's not outrageous.
Yeah.
Sohan was a top 10 pick 2 years ago, a 6'9" wing who doesn't have a ton of offensive upside, or ton of shooting upside. He's more of a little offensive playmaker. Not a great fit next to Wemby.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who's a top 10
All
pick,
right.
good defensive player, wing, and then obviously the 4th pick is the 4th pick in this draft.
But it's not worth as much as a traditional 4th pick,
No.
I guess.
I would tell you that trade is not that bad.
I would.
If the Cavs took that trade, I would not be all the way upset about it. I really wouldn't be.
This trade seems like a great trade for the Cavs. I don't know.
I would
Jason?
not be upset about it.
I think it's very reasonable
Yeah.
on both sides. I don't know. It's tough because like the Cavs aren't going to be drafting very high, so you'd like a young guy with the 4th pick, but this isn't a great draft. But also,
You can also get the best player at 4 because there's no consensus number 1.
that's exactly it. I think there's decent players in this draft. There's
Yeah.
just not high-end elite talent. I don't think that's bad.
Give me, in theory, who would the Cavs take it for? Give me a crazy.
I mean,
I know
no
it could be
consensus
8
on
different
top
guys,
three,
but give me your pick. Who should pick?
Couple of top prospects. Alex Sarr, the center from. Now, that's in the Cavs would take him, but the top prospects.
Give me somebody that's a fit that could go at 4.
A small forward.
The Rissière, the small forward from France, Zachary Rissière.
How big is he?
6'7", 6'8". More of an offensive.
All right, so you want Johnson, Sohan, and him, or you want Garland? It sounds like it makes that. This to me, I wouldn't. Why would the Spurs make this trade?
Because
they need a point guard. Desperately need a point guard.
They do need a point guard.
Him and Wemby and Vassell would be. That's pretty. And
Okay.
they all young, so that would be for the future.
All right, I would do this if I were the Cavs. Would you guys?
If Darius requested a trade, I would take the trade.
Even if he didn't request a trade, I would do it.
Jason, what say you?
I'm in the camp that Darius is my favorite player on the Cavs, and I don't want to let him. I don't want to trade him. But if he requested a trade and I was granting him that, I would take the trade.
I'm really torn. I'm more torn than I thought because I thought I was going to say no to a lot of these.
I thought I was.
This is pretty good, Mike.
That's a good trade.
So into 3, yeah.
So your starting lineup would be, in theory, Allen, Mobley, Donovan, and those 2 guys, right?
Yeah, and with all of these, this is just Garland trades. You can make other trades if you want to trade.
Right, but I'm saying, in theory, this is the one trade they make.
Yeah.
Because then I would make Donovan play the 1, Keldon play the 2.
Right.
And then
that's a pretty damn good defensive front court with
All
Sohan.
right.
So like I said, I asked 2 NBA coaches and a Cavs fan not related here.
Yeah.
This is what these guys said. One NBA coach said the Spurs would say no immediately. One coach said they'd think about it, and the Cavs guy said he'd also think about it. So no one said a absolute no for the Cavs. I'm brand with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a better trade for the Cavs than the Spurs to me. I don't know, but that could be crazy.
All right, number 2.
Yeah.
And there's a little caveat with number 2. It's with Houston. And Houston has 3 wings, Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, and Cam Whitmore. It's essentially take your pick of those wings. It's whatever one you like the most. So for Darius Garland, if the Rockets offered Fred VanVleet, one of the wings, and the number 3 pick in this year's draft,
I would take Thompson.
would you do it?
Fred VanVleet's on the decline, right?
Yeah, I don't like that for the Cavs.
Fred VanVleet,
You couldn't even say his name.
Fred VanVleet.
VanVleet is on a equally as expensive but shorter deal, so you get out of the deal first.
He got overpaid. And
What did he do last year? Like
nothing. But when he was with Toronto, he was really good.
He was really good back in the day. But how old is he now?
Little older. He is 30 years old. Last season, he averaged 17.5 points per game. He shot 39% from 3, 41 from the floor, 8 assists. So he was at 17.5, 8, and 39%.
But he's small too, though.
Yeah.
Like, so
He's
essentially going with the same.
I don't like this deal.
I'm cool.
So 2 no's. Jason, what say you?
I said no.
3 no's. Let's see what the league sources here say. Who says no? Both league sources say the Rockets would say no chance to that.
Of course. I mean, you told me this Cavs fan had credibility.
He does. He does.
Oh, he said the Cavs would say no.
He said the
were
Cavs
with
would
him.
say
Yeah,
no.
okay, you're
The
right.
league sources
I'm
say the
confused
Rockets
by
would
your
say no.
graphic. Who says no? Anyway.
It's funny. Ant said that this morning. I was like, no, it makes perfect sense in my head. So maybe Ant was right.
But no, I see what you do. I didn't
Yeah.
understand the first one, but now I get it. Now I see it.
So both NBA guys said the Rockets would turn
the
it.
Rockets would turn that
Are
trade
we
down.
underestimating how good Fred VanVleet is? Like,
What
I
I
didn't watch
learned-
the Rockets play. Is he in a major decline now in his career?
Major, I don't know, but he's a small guard in 30, and that's typically where the decline starts to happen.
Right.
However, what I learned doing this exercise, I talked to more than just 2 guys. The value of Darius Garland ranges widely.
Yes.
Like,
And it's deflated.
team to team, and it is deflated, but some teams like him significantly more than others.
Right.
And
That's
there
the
was
old
real no
cliche.
consensus.
It only takes one.
Only takes one.
It only
Fair
takes
enough.
All right, trade number 3 then.
Trade number 3.
What if the Wizards called and offered the Cavs Kuzma and number 2 in this year's draft for Darius Garland? And this trade's kind of, you have to trade Jared Allen in a separate trade if you're getting Kuzma. But this would be
I don't
insistent on moving Mobley to the 5. Kuzma's your 4.
I don't necessarily hate it. I don't hate this.
Yeah.
Because Kuzma's a good player. He could come in and he could contribute right away. He has moments where he's really good. He has moments where he doesn't do a thing. Pairing him with Donovan, I think could work for him because I think right now the reason with the Wizards because he's like the only star and Jordan Poole isn't who they thought he would be, so he's forced to do a lot. But if he takes a little bit of that role off because Donovan's there, I think he could be a better player. With the number 2 pick, you're essentially picking
whoever you like.
Whoever.
Right? Your best player. What were Kuzma's numbers last year, Mike?
Kyle Kuzma last season has been a pretty good player in his career. Last year, he averaged 22.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 47% from the floor, and 34%.
But in terms of the scoring, it's like they're such a bad team. How do you know?
Yeah,
like how
somebody's
legit
got to
that?
score the points.
For his career, 17.5 points, 6.4 rebounds, 3 assists.
I'm not a huge Kuzma fan.
I'm not a huge
personally.
Kuzma fan either, but if Darius requested a trade and
Why
I
would
had
the
to
Wizards
trade,
do this?
and I had to trade him
Why would the Wizards do this?
Yeah.
You don't love anyone in the draft.
because Jordan Poole ain't who
And
they
you
thought
could get
they
a guard
was.
under contract who you think would be your best
Yeah,
player.
but they're so bad. Like,
They need the pick. I think both sides say no to that, actually.
They definitely need to pick.
I don't think the Wizards.
Because you pairing him with Jordan Poole, and that's
The Wizards,
not gonna do
I
nothing.
think the Wizards would definitely not do this. With the Cavs, it depends what Kobe thinks of Kyle Kuzma. You don't like him.
Right.
But if Kobe
I
thinks
don't
Kyle,
like him either,
If
for the
Ky-
record.
but if Kobe loves Kyle Kuzma, he'd probably make this trade.
I
'cause he
don't love
think
Kyle
it's the second
Kuzma
pick.
either, but
I think you're underestimating how much
He
they
loves
love how
Garland.
much the Cavs organization loves Darius.
Yeah, I hear you.
I love Darius.
All right,
too.
go ahead. Show
Let's
us
see
the
what
results.
But if he
the league
requested
guys
a
say.
trade, then I have to trade him. Okay, Greg Popovich.
We had one for each here. We had one guy in the league say the Wizards say no to that. We had one guy say, hey, I think he'd think about it. And that was dependent on them trading Jared Allen in a separate deal.
Yeah.
And
All right.
then from the Cavs side, agreeing with you guys. Not enough for Darius Garland.
Well, but we also said the Wizards wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't give them both options. I gave
Yeah.
them one.
I actually think the Wizards would be quicker to say no than the Cavs, maybe.
They need to pick because they ain't
Go ahead.
got nobody.
Next.
Number 4, the Brooklyn Nets.
All right.
Who is
How about
it?
this?
Who?
Darius Garland for Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and 2 second-round picks, a 2025 second-rounder from Miami and a 2026 second-rounder from Brooklyn. Gives you 2 wings with size.
No.
3 and D prototypes
No.
for Darius Garland.
I'm cool.
I don't know enough about those guys to know. How good are they?
I'm saying no, Jason.
Cavs do love their second-round picks. They love acquiring.
They've done nothing
second-round
with any
picks.
of them.
They bundle them together and move around the board a little bit. I like Cam Johnson. What's his contract?
He signed 5 years, $95 million last season.
I do like Cam Johnson.
What did he average last year, Mike?
I
Cam Johnson
I think
last
the Nets
year-
say no.
Averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 45%, 40% three-point shooter. He's 6'8", wing with size and athleticism.
I think the Nets say no.
Here's what the league says.
I would
Both
not.
league
I think
sources-
the Cavs say no.
Both league sources said, thinks the Nets would think about it. Thinks the Cavs would think about it. Cavs guy said no. So, Jason, you're on the outside, so you think the Nets would say no.
I usually am.
So far, through 4, we're halfway through.
Yeah.
Your favorite one so far, the Spurs trade.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I
The
like
Spurs
that
the
one
best one.
I like the Nets one too. I said that I think the Nets
yeah?
say no.
Yeah.
I
No.
like,
all right.
I like the Nets one
Yeah.
too.
Okay, next up, it's a little Timberwolves trade. We have 2 Timberwolves trades here, 2 separate ones. The first one, Garland and Dean Wade for Karl Anthony Towns.
Who's Minnesota's point guard? They got an old point.
So
Mike
we
Conley.
want. So we
Entering.
1,000% trade Jared on this one.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
other deals are pending. This is just focusing on Garland potential.
I would do that.
I
if
would
was the
take that
Cavs.
trade. I think I would take
I
that.
would
No
do that
Towns.
if
is
I don't
known
think-
to be
I
a
don't-
Joker.
You don't need him
But-
to be the number 1 player.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah.
He's an outside shooter, so you.
Yeah,
can,
you
know,
spreading the
Yeah,
floor.
yeah. I would do that.
I'd
if I were
take
the
that
Cavs.
trade.
I don't know that the. I would put that in the think about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think Minnesota would do that ultimately.
I don't.
I don't know why.
Well,
I think you get more for Karl Anthony Towns than Darius.
I agree.
I think
with
you
Jason
could.
on this.
I
I
agree
think
with
the
that
T-Wolves
statement
would say
too.
no.
I think the T Wolves would say no too. But if I'm the Cavs, I'd take that trade.
Karl Anthony Towns' contract is a little more than Darius, and it goes up. He signed a max extension, but the first 2 years were lower. They go up in salary. And Minnesota is a second apron luxury tax team, so they could be looking to shed a little bit of salary to get under, which plays a factor in this. We asked
by the way, when you match salaries, is it the average of the contract remaining?
It's next year's number.
Oh, it's just next year's number. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
So we asked, like I said, our 3 sources. One league source said the Timberwolves shut that down immediately. One, and the Cavs guy said they think about it.
The Cavs guy said think about it? Cavs fan, you wouldn't do that if you're a Cavs fan?
Well, I don't think
he didn't give him an option to say
do it
yes.
isn't an option. It's just
would you think about it or no?
Yeah, I got it.
From a Cavs perspective, I like that one the best.
I like Well,
Towns and Mobley together.
That'd be nice.
In terms of skill sets and pairing, what one has and what the other doesn't, and vice versa.
He's
a pretty damn good big man.
He's a little zesty, but I would. He's a good player.
The best of
little zesty though.
Didn't he start COVID in the NBA?
No,
that was Rudy Gobert.
Oh, Rudy Gobert. Yeah.
He lost it. His mother died from COVID.
No, yeah, Carl's.
Yeah, Cat's been through a lot of stuff. Okay, this is another Timberwolves trade. Before you take this one, Steve, I was asked to include this one particular player in a trade. Someone told me, hey, I want, and I'll tell you who it is in a sec, I want player X on the Cavs. How do we do it? I think this is probably the most unrealistic of them all, so I'm putting that out there now.
Anthony Edwards.
So it had to be an Earl
but
trade.
It was not Earl.
Okay.
But someone asked me and said, we drafted Isaac Okoro instead of Jaden McDaniels in that draft. I want Jaden McDaniels on the Cavs. He'd be a perfect fit. How do we get Jaden McDaniels? So I said, okay, I'll put it in the machine. The reality is there's no real way to do this. So, Steve, this is what I came up with. Garland and Craig Porter Jr. for McDaniels, Mike Conley, and Nikhil Walker-Alexander. I'm 99.999% confident Minnesota hangs up the phone immediately.
Yeah.
But
why on earth would they do that?
Yeah, why would they do?
I gave you the context of this for a reason. This was not my brain. This was.
You want to throw Sam Merrill in? Maybe that'll put the deal over the top.
No, I tried it. Put him over the cap.
He's untouchable.
Yeah, it literally put him over the cap. They can't take any extra money back, which is why trying to match these salaries to get to Garland's salary, you have to give up way too much. And so listen, no. So Steve, let's see.
That's unrealistic.
Let's see the answer. We'll get to the 2 final ones that are more realistic, but you can tell me.
Did you not?
Who said what? Both guys I talked in the league said the Timberwolves shut that down immediately. Cavs guy said he'd think about it. So.
Think about it.
Well, again, yes is not an option.
Right. I forgot.
The Cavs should think about it.
Forgetting.
Yes. So yes, I got to figure out a better way to maybe phrase
no,
that.
it's my fault. I forgot.
Okay, 2 more.
Yeah.
This one we've discussed prior.
He should have had yes, no, think about it.
Yeah.
But then you got both teams and
forget it.
I got to have a better way to do it.
You did fine. It's
next up, we've talked about this one. This is a straight up 1-for-1 trade. Garland for Brandon Ingram. Straight up salaries match exactly.
I'm curious what the NBA guys said about this.
I'm pretty sure they said think about it.
I would probably do it. You don't like Brandon Ingram, right?
No, I'm actually higher on him than Mike.
Oh, you would do it.
I don't love him, but I'm higher on him than Mike.
Do you think do you think either team would say no, or they both think about it?
I'd say it's a think about.
Would you do this? I guess that's a no from Tyvus.
Ty, you wouldn't do it?
No, I'm
he
not.
Won't even answer.
I'm not a big Brandon Ingram fan. I'm not a fan of somebody that's only going to be there for 40 games.
Well, I mean, Darius Garland he plays 1 million games.
Yeah, he just had his jaw broke last season. That's all.
Because he's soft.
Darius does have a lot of injuries.
He's not soft. I mean, he is soft, but not because he has a jaw broke. I'm just kidding.
All 3 in this case said think about it.
Yeah.
It's the most realistic and probably plausible of all of these. All 3 said think about it. So I was talking to one coach, and I did not have this next team on the list of potential trades. And he goes, you got to put one together for this team. And I said, all right, I'll go to the machine. I'll come up with something. And it was the Orlando Magic, which I don't think the Cavs would trade Garland to Orlando. But for the sake of this is the ultimate do 4 quarters equal $1 trade. Jason, I'm very curious what you think about this because the reaction I got on the back end I was a little surprised at. Would you trade Darius Garland for Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter Jr., Anthony Black, and a 2025 first?
100%. That's a no-brainer for the Cavs, isn't it?
I like Isaac. I really like Isaac.
Wendell Carter's a solid player, too.
Yeah.
He is.
He can shoot for a big guy, too.
Correct.
And you get a first-round pick.
I'd put that in the I'd put that in the
Think
about for the Cavs. Orlando needs a point guard, but I don't think they do it.
Why would the Magic give up that much to get a point guard?
Isaac's entered the last year of his deal. Anthony Black was a top 10 pick who couldn't crack their rotation.
Yeah, I
this
didn't
year.
even know anything about him. But
First round
money
pick
match.
could be a late first round pick in 2025 with the cap space they have to add Garland and another guy that could be a late first round
Ooh,
pick.
Darius
It's
and
pushing the
Paolo.
chips in on the table in
Ooh,
a
that
similar
could
way
be nice.
to how the Cavs went for Donovan Mitchell. It's pushing their chips in and
Yeah.
saying, we think we could be pretty good now.
yeah,
Those
is there any
guys may not
chance
be-
Anthony Black can become something with the right coach?
Yeah, he's a top 10 pick, 6'7" point guard. He could play. He's good in college.
I put the Cavs in the think about, and Orlando says no.
Bull?
I would say both teams. Nah, I'm with Jason. I'm going with him. Same as Jason.
Tyvus? Would you do that?
Orlando does need a point guard.
They need a point.
I would definitely do
If,
it.
if I'm
Cavs.
Orlando, I think would be like they try to maybe take one of
Could
them.
they get a
out.
better point guard than
But
Darius?
that's what pick they got? 10?
It's not this draft. It'd be in the next draft.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably going to be a low pick.
Yeah, it's gonna be a low pick.
It's probably between 16 and 24.
And quite
So they
honestly,
ain't getting-
there would be
it's-
protections on that pick.
it's
anyway.
worth nothing. Orlando would. I think Orlando would take that.
It's really the ultimate four quarters for $1 because
Yeah.
none of those guys by themselves is a
No,
Darius Garland
yeah.
caliber player. But when you add them up, the pieces to the puzzle may be a better puzzle than the fit with Darius Donovan.
That'd be another trade where you trade Jarrett Allen also.
Yeah.
And then you'd have Mobley, Wendell Carter, and Isaac in
That's
your
your
front
three
court.
bigs. You probably would have Isaac come off the bench, but
Oh, okay.
But I mean, him and Okoro, you locking up a lot with them two. Sheesh.
yeah, it gives you a little more flexibility. And Wendell Carter Jr. could shoot,
Yeah.
shooting big. So I asked the league guys, I asked the Cavs guy. All three said on this one they think about it too.
Interesting.
Okay.
Right in
Well,
line.
one of those guys was the guy that suggested that he didn't. So
One
the
of the
person
guys-
you spoke to who said Orlando trade, he
Yes.
didn't suggest a trade to you?
No, I then sent it back to. He said you should put together something for Orlando.
Uh-huh.
NBA coaches aren't messing around with the trade machine. Trust me, they have bigger priorities.
Well, but I thought maybe when he brought it up to you, he had not the full trade, but maybe an idea of what it would be.
No, I sent it back to him and he said, "Yeah, I'd think about that." So,
Yeah.
all right. So of those, before we move on to the James Borrego discussion, one in particular you stand out as the one you like the most and the most realistic. Give me one each, Bull.
It's either I think almost all of them are somewhat realistic.
No, not the.
I think the most
not
real-
the Jada McDaniels. It ain't happen.
Well, besides that one, I think the most realistic is the one with what's his name, the injured guy,
Ingram.
Ingram. But I think the two I'm most interested in are San Antonio and the Orlando trades. Those I'm fascinated because you get two kind of interesting players and the draft pick. But I think in the end the San Antonio one because you get a guaranteed pick now, even though it's not a great draft. But you might find somebody. Not that I trust Koby Altman.
Oh, they've
Get it
done a nice
right.
job on drafts. They haven't always gotten the best player at that spot,
Right.
But they haven't missed on their picks. They've done a nice job.
Okoro's not a miss.
Nah, he's not a miss. Look at the contract he's going to sign this summer. That's not a miss.
He's a single.
Yeah, he's a single. That's right.
He's a sick.
Jason, what was your favorite and your most realistic?
My favorite for the Cavs perspective is Minnesota. I think that fits them the best.
Oh,
The Karl
And
Anthony
the
Towns.
one I think is most realistic is probably New Orleans. The Brandon Ingram.
I think the New Orleans one is the most realistic. My favorite one is probably either that Cat one or the Spurs.
You guys don't like the Orlando
Spurs.
one? that much.
No, I like it.
I just don't
I
think
like
they.
it.
I don't think.
I
they
think the
gonna-
Minnesota one is best, and then from the Cavs perspective, I like the Minnesota one the best, and then probably San Antonio and Orlando after that.
All right. So I think those are the three best for the Cavs.
Did
But
do
I
that?
also think there's a really good chance Darius is still here in the fall.
Yeah, when
I
they
don't-
asked to
I
make
don't-
fake
I don't
trades,
want
it
him to
doesn't
be
mean
gone.
we're advocating for them to actually trade him. We're just
I am
trying to have some
advocating
fun.
for
I
them.
know you are, but
I'm just telling you right now, Cavs are telling teams they're not trading them. So what? Now that doesn't mean it's posturing. It's June.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you right now, they're telling teams we're not trading them. We'll see.
I don't
believe them.
We'll see.
His value is down, as you guys have talked about.
But
Which
it
is
all-
more reason not to trade him.
Right, but maybe they're trying to convince a team to up an offer or something.
I don't know. We'll see.
before we move on real quick, how'd I do?
Really good.
Great.
That was a really good one.
Thought-provoking at
That's
least.
probably the
Really
best
good.
trade scenarios you've had.
Yeah, I mean, those were all
any of your scenarios.
outside of the Jaden McDaniels one. They were all.
But he
within-
got asked. He
which
got
I said,
asked to do
you know,
that.
he
gave
got
him
forced
context.
into.
Yeah.
The others were all within the realm of reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually people make up trades and they're all stupid and one-sided for the
Darius
for the team.
Garland for Apollo Banchero.
Yeah, right.
And then
Exactly.
some money match.
Cavs say no. All right, let's talk a little James Borrego, guys. If you're in the chat, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It costs $0.00. We appreciate you guys, and we're going to talk James Borrego because he is in Cleveland today for his second day of in-person interviews. He's also a candidate for the Lakers head coaching job, and if he does get hired, whether it's him, Atkinson, anyone else, we're going to go in live on the Ultimate Cavs show when it happens. So with Dan Hurley turning down the Lakers job, James Borrego's name has come up in both
Yeah.
the final short list for the Cavs and the Lakers, and I want to play you a clip from Woj real quick, before the Woj clip.
Before the Woj clip, because I want to say something. The
Shoot.
Woj clip has nothing to do with Hurley, right?
It's at the end of the Hurley discussion.
Okay.
But no, it's not.
So let me just say something about the Hurley. We were told this was good. I think the Lakers, that was a terrible offer, in my opinion, by the Lakers.
$70 million. What is it? 6 years?
I thought it'd be higher.
I thought they'd be offering like over 100. Like, you're trying to get this guy to leave a job. He obviously doesn't want to leave.
The Lakers have botched every turn of this.
They are such a
They've
clown
botched
show.
every
First
turn.
of all, it bothers me that their GM looks like Rob Lowe. He
does. No, he does.
How does anybody else not acknowledging this? It's very distracting. Number two, that was I know it sounds crazy to say it's a terrible offer, millions and millions of dollars. I was convinced I thought they would offer him almost double what they offered him. First of all, you got to live in California. The taxes there are huge. You got to factor that in. I'm sure taxes in Connecticut are pretty high too, but not as high as I don't know. I just was shocked. I thought it'd be way more than that. But anyway,
Well, it's
go
funny
ahead.
because Kentucky offered Dan Hurley $11 million, and he turned that down, and the Lakers came back and offered him $11.5, as if an extra $500,000
Well,
would entice him.
Would you want to live in Kentucky?
Have you been to Storrs, Connecticut, with all due respect? Storrs, Connecticut is
At least
nothing.
that's like within an earshot of New York City.
I'm telling you, I'm a two-time three-point champion at UConn summer basketball camp, so I can speak from real
Yeah.
experience. There's nothing in Storrs, Connecticut, besides
I know that,
UConn.
but it's still not Kentucky.
Okay, regardless,
Good.
Kentucky
Yeah.
or what? Dan Hurley turned down the Lakers job,
Yeah.
and now James Borrego is a finalist for both the Cleveland head coaching job and the Lakers head coaching job. And Woj was on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt last night and said this about Borrego, which is going to bring us into our topic. Steve?
That search is, if it begins somewhere, Woj, is there a place that they start?
I think James Borrego is still going to be a significant name in this search. He's in Cleveland now. He'll meet with the Cavaliers on Tuesday all day long. You know, he's prominent in that search. They'll have Kenny Atkinson in later in the week with the Cavs. But Borrego's already been in twice in L.A., head coach in Charlotte, who, when you look back, went from 33 wins to 43 wins, two play-in tournaments, and then a really good season last year in New Orleans, where they hold him in high regard as a top assistant. He's with Pop a long time in San Antonio. I think he'll be prominent in both the Cavs and Lakers searches. And there may be another name or two with the Lakers. You know, they brought in and interviewed a number of coaches already. They'll go back to that pool. I'm told they'd like to try to have a coach by the draft, which is June 26th.
So this could be wrapping up soon for both the Cavs and the Lakers. Borrego's, like I said, near the top of the list for both.
Yeah.
Jason, is James Borrego a coach worth having a potential bidding war over between the Cavs and the Lakers?
He's my top choice. Like, from the start of this, I like Borrego the best of all the names that have been out there. I don't know that I would get into a bidding war over him, but I think he's in a really good spot right now. Obviously, the Lakers have botched this at every turn. Like, the JJ thing, was my impression that was like done, and now they're just in a mess. And if you're JJ, why would you even take that job?
Yeah, it's embarrassing now.
So that could spin them back toward Borrego. He's already been out there twice. You know, we said earlier that the Cavs were on Zooms last week, and their candidates are coming into town this week. They could have this wrapped up by the end of the week between Kenny and Borrego. They've been the two names that have been at the top of this list all along. Kenny was thought of to be the leader, you know, from the start of this, and I think Borrego's kind of done himself well to this point in the interview process. And it's worth also noting he's coming from New Orleans, where obviously David Griffin is now, and David and Koby are tight. So, David's going to tell Koby everything he needs to know about Borrego. So I think there's probably a little bit more familiarity on that side than maybe there would be. I don't know of any strong connection with Kenny Atkinson and the Cavs. I was told Kenny was sort of doing his homework on the Cavs last week, doing due diligence on ownership and that sort of thing. And obviously the agency connection, both Borrego and Atkinson are rep by CAA, which also reps Donovan. So for what that's worth. But if you're making me choose between Atkinson and Borrego, I would take Borrego. I think he's a better offensive mind. And Atkinson did not fit well with Stars in Brooklyn. They wanted him out. And we just went through that here. And I just think Borrego had very little to work with in Charlotte, and I thought he did a good job.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, there's some people that would just rather live in L.A. than Cleveland. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of those people. And I like L.A. But am I crazy thinking the Cavs' job's a way better job
No,
than
we
Lakers'
talked
job?
about this.
Yeah.
If you just look take location out.
Yeah.
If you just look at roster, trajectory, ownership, spending, all that stuff, I think the Cavs is a better job. Now, the Lakers' job comes with juice and cachet that no other job in the league has.
Right. But there's some negative.
To coaches, that counts for something.
The coaches.
But the Lakers are also a tire fire.
Yeah. This is crazy. I kind of feel stupid asking this question. But
no, go ahead.
Are there some coaches that look at, especially at his age now, they don't want to have to deal with LeBron because he.
That's not a stupid question at all. It's the whole declining superstar thing is real. I've talked to coaches who coach LeBron who said it's difficult.
Right.
Because they can't do what they once did, but they think they still can.
Right.
And it's very difficult. Yeah. So, by the way, everybody's acting as if LeBron is going back, and he very well may. It's not a done deal that LeBron's going back to LA. So then what? If he does leave, then what? If you ask me which job is the better job, I'm taking the Cleveland job over the LA job every time. I think it's a better job. And the Lakers are just mismanaged from top to bottom.
Yeah.
They're a joke. And the way that they've handled this, they've embarrassed themselves. They've completely botched this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm James Borrego and I look at how the Lakers have handled this search, I'm like, I don't want to be part of that. I would take Cleveland. If it comes down to it, if the money's similar, I would come down. Now, also, Dan has paid coaches in the past. He had to pay Mike Brown a lot to get him to come back because he fired him the first time.
Yeah.
But also, Dan doesn't pay executives well. That's been made known that he's – but with coaches, it's kind of hit and miss. They totally – when they brought Chauncey Billups in, they offered him nothing now there's a front office job. I do think they prioritize coaches more than they prioritize front office roles in terms of salary and money. But the Lakers also don't really pay that well. The Lakers try and lowball their coaches.
You can't
weird.
in LA because you'll have your check gone.
The Lakers, I believe, look at this as hey, we're the Lakers. You want to come work for us.
I agree.
And I've talked to coaching candidates who've gone through LA who got lowballed big time by ownership in terms of pay. So I would think that the Cavs would be very competitive. And if you're who's going to pay more, the Lakers or the Cavs? Probably the Cavs for that job. So I think they're in a good spot.
$70 million.
If that's who they want.
It's fascinating. The one thing you can't complain about with Dan Gilbert, like Jimmy Haslam, is that he's not afraid to spend money. But he doesn't spend on the front. And that's why I guess that's part of the reason they always hire the next assistant, right? At GM.
Yeah. Now I think Kobe probably got a pretty good bump when he went to president of basketball. But Griff was one of the lowest paid GMs in the league.
It's so weird that
when you take out I think he had some incentives in the deal that he obviously hit with the championships and everything else. But base pay, Griff was one of the lowest paid GMs in the league when he was here.
If I'm the Cavs, I'm gonna not let Borrego lead today. How about that?
But I mean, again, Atkinson was their top candidate going into this. That doesn't mean it hasn't changed now.
And he's visiting tomorrow, by the way, for in-person interviews.
So it would be. I would actually be. I think I'd be a little bit surprised if Borrego left with an offer today. I guess it's possible, but I think that they want to see this process out.
Yeah.
Well, they going. If he doesn't go today, then LA is probably not going to let him leave the next time they talk to him. So
by
default, then you'll just be left with Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
That's the way I look
he
at
might
it.
talk to some other guys. Who knows? You
No,
know?
I think it's down to. I think it's down to those.
Just
two.
Yeah, it's
those
done.
two. By the way,
What happened to Chris Quinn?
we showed a clip from SportsCenter. When's the last time anybody here watched SportsCenter for more than like 2 minutes?
Video clips on the internet.
Right.
I can't remember the last time I
don't really watch-
I can tell you for me personally,
Yeah.
this morning while I was icing my hamstrings,
You watched SportsCenter?
nothing else is on at 7 in the morning.
Why are you?
Why are you
Why are
icing
you
your
icing your
hamstrings at 7 in the morning?
I went for a run on Sunday and then I hooped last night and my hamstrings are just sore as hell.
Oh, all right.
So
You're
I
not in
was icing my
shape.
hammies.
You're not in shape anymore.
Tyvus, last time you watched SportsCenter?
Yesterday.
You did?
Not watched it. Like I glanced at it when I was walking in before
Yeah.
I had this incident in the gym.
Right.
When I was walking in the locker room, it was on TV.
I don't ever
Yeah.
turn on ESPN unless it's for a game.
Never.
I
Me
don't
too.
watch
Never.
TV and I don't watch any sports talk shows
Yeah.
because I don't want to hear what they say because it'll mess up how I think. So
I've always felt that way.
I want to have my own opinion about
Yeah.
certain
I
topics.
used to watch Pardon the Interruption all the time. I never watch it anymore.
No, I never
Can I
watched
give one thought on Borrego real quick, and then we'll head
No,
over to Super
no,
Chats?
no
All
thoughts
right,
from you
all
on
right.
Borrego.
All right, we're
Go
gonna
ahead.
No, I'm just kidding. I spent a lot of time this morning diving into some Borrego stuff in case he is the high or whatever, and we got to break on live.
Yeah.
If the Cavs decide to keep their core four together, and Bull, yes, I know you hate the thing core four. I see you shaking your head. I'm just calling it the core four because that's what they call it. A lot of the stuff that Borrego likes to run and ran successfully in Charlotte were predicated on two ball-handling guards trading off, and he had two bigs in the lineup. So I'm not sure how much of a factor that'll play, but knowing what Atkinson ran in Brooklyn and what Borrego ran in Charlotte, what Borrego ran in Charlotte fit I hate saying the core four better, but fits two bigs and two ball-handling guards who trade off responsibilities way better than what Atkinson ran in Brooklyn. And a little teaser, if it is Borrego, if it is whoever, I got a bunch of clips kind of breaking that down for when the hire happens that we'll show on the Ultimate Cavs show.
And again,
So,
they're telling teams we're not trading them. I just want it on the record. They're telling
Right,
teams
right.
we're not trading them.
All right. Did we have
We'll
one
see.
other thing we had to hit on? Otherwise, was going to bring up something else.
we have something else for overtime, but we're not going to do overtime because we're going to let the IT guys come in here and
Yeah,
check
yeah,
this
okay.
out. So let's read Super Chats, and we'll do real quick overtime in the last 5 minutes of the show.
All right. Can
All
we
right.
just mention Kyrie real quick?
Sure.
Because he has not played well in these first
He's been
games.
piss poor,
No,
terrible.
he
is
has
not.
not. He's been terrible. He has not hit a three-pointer yet.
And Jason Tatum shot terribly that last.
And it's
Last
exactly
game, too, but-
this finals is going exactly the way that I said it was going to. I said that the fact that the Celtics have 5 people that can beat you on any given night, and you have 2. And
Yeah, what's his name had a huge game?
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday.
Drew
He was their
Holiday,
best
20
player
plus
yesterday.
points. If you if Luka and Kyrie don't have split 40 points a game, it's not gonna happen. And I told everybody that, and
You
everybody
told
looked at me
More than
like I was
40, they need
crazy.
50.
I wasn't sure after Boston made that trade if they really got better, and boy, was I wrong. They got significantly
It's too
better
much.
with Drew Holiday. and
Any
Porzingis.
one of their starting 5 can get 20.
And Porzingis. I mean, Porzingis.
Yeah,
he's coming
is
off the
such
bench.
a-
He is coming off the bench.
All right, 2 super
Yeah.
chats real quick. Dontavius Winston said Alex Van Pelt and Kevin were too alike. A peanut butter sandwich. Dorsey's going to be the jelly with Kevin. That pinch of salt in a Reese's cup, savory and sweet, pineapple on pizza with 3 laughing emojis. And Halim.
Don't ever mention pineapple on
You should
pizza
be
in my
arrested for
presence.
putting
That's
pineapple on
disgusting.
pizza.
I actually like
Pineapples
pineapple on
on
pizza.
pizza.
I'm not gonna lie.
gross.
I would not order it as a slice, but if it's there, it ain't
Ooh,
bad.
you said you'd eat pineapple on pizza?
It's not my preferred way to eat
To
it.
spread
but
the word, and your friends back in New Jersey, you should be ashamed of yourself.
It's good. And Halim Youssef says Cooper's holdout makes sense because he doesn't have any guaranteed money in this final year. All I have to do is guarantee him his money in 2024. So I looked it up, and Halim is right. Amari Cooper has $0 guaranteed dollars in 2024.
Okay, but they're
His
not
base
gonna cut him.
salary is $20 million.
They can't
Prorated
cut because
signing
That's
bonus
meaningless.
is
isn't his dead cap
That's
hit 11
meaningless.
million?
He's not showing. It's not a holdout, first of all. I don't look at it as a holdout, but
No, it's just one day.
he's not showing up because that money's not guaranteed.
He wants just a longer contract.
He wants a longer contract. What do you mean it's not guaranteed? What are they going to do with him?
No, I was just saying.
I mean, is he worried? Like if he got hurt in OTAs, that they would just cut him?
Does he turn
No.
31 this year?
His birthday is. Yeah, he turns 31 this year. So, all right, Bull, this is what we're going to do for overtime.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it in the last 4 minutes here.
Yeah.
Buster Olney's Twitter account got hacked.
Oh my God, that
and
was
if you
so
didn't see
funny.
it,
Who
it
got
was
hacked?
hysterical.
Buster
It was
Olney.
hysterical.
It
It
was
was hysterical.
What the guy did who hacked it though? He made him because eventually he started doing like fake baseball news, which people would have totally bought,
Right.
except that initially he was writing about having sex with people's moms and stuff like that.
It was funny. You should go look at it if you didn't see it. It was
Yeah.
funny. So the question we're going to do in overtime, and once again, we're going to get IT down here to try and work on the system, try and diagnose what the hell's going on because it's
Wait a
not
minute.
cool. But if you could hack anyone's Twitter, who would you hack and what would you say?
All right, I'm not going to answer the what you would say part because it's going to be controversial enough, my answer, but it would be Donald Trump, 100%. 100%.
I'm too busy looking at.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter looking at all this other stuff. Why? Amari Cooper wasn't the only one that wasn't at practice today because
It's not uncommon for guys to miss.
Jerry Judy wasn't at practice today.
can't-
No, Judy was there. He was just getting treatment. He was
Okay.
dealing with a minor injury. Judy was there.
I would, if I'm being honest, I would hack an athlete, but I can't say which one because that would look really bad by me.
Yes,
Like I'm
don't
trying to
say
hack
it.
an
Yeah,
athlete.
you're right.
But I would hack a Twitter account, an athlete. I think that'd be fun.
Is that just you can look at their DMs?
Yes.
Yes,
I didn't want to tweet anything. I just want to look at their
I wanna look at
DMs.
that's a fact.
or another reporter.
I still think the funniest idea of all time was to make the All-Star game more competitive in the NBA is the losing team has to release their DMs.
Yeah, oh, God, that would be
You want to see
those got to be the
competition?
greatest game ever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I do think that it would never happen in a million years,
No.
but that would be the funniest way to make the guys
How hard would
actually
LeBron
give a
be
rat's
playing?
ass about the All-Star game. Tyvus, who you
Ah,
have?
LeBron's not that dumb. He
Not
wouldn't.
DMs.
He's not doing
I don't-
DMs.
Whose Twitter or Instagram account I'm hacking?
Yeah,
You say Trump,
yeah.
undisclosed athlete.
Undisclosed athlete or reporter. Although I don't have anything in my DMs.
I got nothing.
I don't have any reporter notes, juicy nuggets, or anything like that in DMs. I don't trust DMs.
No.
The athletes is always the best ones.
Yes,
because
because they're dumb enough to do it.
it's a lot of activity. that
Especially
goes
young,
on.
Yes.
good
Yeah.
athletes.
Yes.
It's a lot.
They'll do all kinds of stupid stuff
Yes.
in DMs.
I've
So
had-
I mean, by default, it would be them because I would laugh at what I see because what I learned is
Would
a
Tyvus hack himself?
lot of athletes,
himself.
but this is serious. A lot of athletes, especially the young ones, don't have game.
Yeah.
So like to see what they say to
the
girls
Yeah.
would make me laugh so hard. because it's hilarious.
I had one person send me
Yeah.
stuff from a Cleveland prominent athlete wanting me to like expose him and write it.
Wow.
And I was like,
You read what he said. You like,
oh, I
my
saw things that I can never unsee.
Oh my God.
I saw things that I would like gouge my eyes out over. But, yeah, I'm like, I can't do anything with this. We're not running this. But yes, but a very prominent Cleveland
I'm
athlete.
waiting for the end of the show to find out.
A lot of athletes ain't got game. Man.
Damn.
This
How
is-
about you, Mike? Who's your pick?
But it was a snap. It wasn't a DM. It was
okay.
a snap.
I actually think it would be hysterical to hack Jay Crawford because he doesn't tweet, and I think I could get away with being just Jay enough
Oh yeah.
to be believable, but
wouldn't
also
even know it.
ridiculous enough
That
to
would
cause
be
some
funny.
real chaos.
There would be nothing interesting to see in his DMs.
Not see, but
But it would be funny to tweet as Jay and say like slightly weird stuff. That would be funny.
Oh, his
That's
I
phone
think
will blow
or
up.
actually, G. Bush would be a great one to hack because you can say anything and you have no idea if it's G.
Yeah,
Bush or
it's
not.
true. We'll see you
no
tomorrow.
overtime. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you for patience. We love you.